All right, everybody, I'm joined today with my friend Mobile Gamer, and we're here to talk to you about the only node that matters in this Scourge event. A little hyperbolic, but we're talking Node 5.
Mostly true, but it's going to be the most important node, I believe, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So today we're going to be going through some of the Scourges that you really shouldn't use. We're going to actually run through the node, not with this many Scourges, but with 1.6 mil worth on a full run. Mobile, you've done this node a couple of times with or without Scourges?
Without Scourges. And the other thing, too, is that we're running this on the test server. So this is a balanced account with, four red, 7 yellow, level 85, and then 7775 as far as the T4s.
Yes, which is very important, and we're going to get into some crucial T4s and how those mechanic works, particularly on Kate Bishop and Squirrel Girl. What else we're going to do is we're going to talk about the Scourges that just make this node pretty much impossible, and how you need to clean through this node. So, how do you feel about these max health Scourges?
Max health Scourges, no, there's no value, especially for 1 point. My goodness, you can't do those. And that was the same thing the last time around, that those Scourges were just extreme. The value is not there. Because the health pools are not insane on these, and you need to get through the characters rather than overwhelming them and building up positive momentum. No, you need to clear through it. You know what I mean? As quickly as possible. Get rid of the key characters that are problematic.
Yeah, exactly. Like these Scourges, in my opinion, they're the difference between ranks 10 and ranks 1. But if you don't care about that, you're going for ranks 500, ranks 1000, you should not be looking at these. They're not worth it.
And the points are not even there. 1 point, 10% max health could be all the difference in making it a hassle. And it stacks up too with the 20 health and things like that. It's just not that many points compared to some of the other ones that you can work around.
Yes, exactly. The things that you can control. Okay, so Ally Death, for sure, that's a very easy one to put on, because if we're talking about Node 5, we're talking about Young Avengers, you can't have deaths.
Right.
Yeah, they got to go into Node 10 healthy.
So yeah, that is a basic assumption with this, is that you're going to one-shot this node with Young Avengers. And so the other nodes, these will create problems, and you're going to have other strategies on nodes, 1 through 4, and then 6 through 9. But on this node, which is going to be the main bottleneck, I believe, for the entire event, because you're going to have to do, not only it sets you up for node 10, you're probably going to have to 2-tap node 10.
Okay, exactly. And speaking of 2-tapping, one-shot, and everything else, Node 5 has a crazy opener. So you're going to be tempted to use a burner team. But, and I'll let you talk about this one right here, when any player character dies, enemies gain 2 ability energy. Why don't we briefly touch on why this one makes it so you cannot sacrifice on this node at all?
Yeah, it's just a mess, absolutely a mess. If you sack a node and they're going to have full energy, and it's going to be a complete mess, specifically with the Heartless Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Specifically, I mean, that's on this particular node, but on other nodes, it's a problem as well. It's going to be a problem on a lot of nodes.
Yes.
If you're going to 2-tap a node, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, this Scourge shouldn't be called gloating. This Scourge should be called transform into Heroes for Hire on War Defense, because that's what this does. There's no 2-tapping Heroes for Hire. This one makes it very difficult.
Yeah, and it's only 5 points. I don't see the value there at all.
Yes, I agree. So enemies gain drain. There's going to be 2 of these. I'll quickly touch on this one. 25% drain feels like a lot in your hands, especially in a mode like Raid. I did not find the drain to affect anything. I think this is one of those free Scourges. Now, is it free because they're not actually working, or because 5% just isn't that big a deal? I think it's working. It just doesn't feel like that big a deal to me.
It did on the footage I've seen. It doesn't seem like it makes much of a difference.
Yeah, exactly. When a player character gains ability energy, they gain defense down. So there's 3 Scourges that read like this. We have the next one, and then the final one is down here. That applies defense down for 1 turn. Did you use these ones on the Morgan Le Fay event?
I don't remember. I can't even remember at all, to be honest with you. I just don't remember.
Okay. Well, let me speak to my experience then. If you're going to use one of these, you use all of them, right? Because it's player characters gain ability energy. Nothing in the Young Avengers kit is going to activate this, I think even Squirrel Girl, when she gets energy, might be locked behind ward defense, if she gets that at all when she drops. I think she just gets speed bar, though. Actually, let's go take a quick look, so I'm not speaking out of turn.
It's what I think it's Ms. Marvel's ultimate, right?
Yes, Ms. Marvel's ultimate. Okay, that is a very good point. And actually, we'll touch on that because I think ultimate use might be in question in this mode or this node anyway. On enemy turn, steal 5% health from lowest player. You had made an interesting comment on this when we were talking before. It's like Gambit, you said. It's like a little Gambit hitting you.
Yeah.
So if you guys remember the Gambit raid on that final node when that Gambit started in stealth and you couldn't get to him and he was just chucking cards at you, it's going to feel a lot like that. But I think that's one that we can manage with the Young Avenger team.
Okay.
Oh, this one. I'll let you talk about this one. Power Fatigue 1. Player character special abilities cost 1 more ability energy. There's one character in particular this affects.
Squirrel Girl, 1000%. You're going to need to do Squirrel Girl. Where, she's going to be healing. I mean, the way we got to talk about the passives. I mean, the passives, them dropping below 50%, her getting turn meter, and then going up above, and then also with Kate dropping below, putting out the blinds. So you're going to need them to drop below 50%, and then you're going to depend on Squirrel Girl to heal. So you don't want to inhibit that at all. None. No. And so Squirrel Girl is going to be getting the turn meter whenever they go below 50%, right? And it's going to fuel her turn meter. So it's going to be weird to know how actually this will play out because we're playing on accounts with like seven red, 4 red, 7 yellows, right? What is it going to play like with 5 or 6 red stars, right? Or teal gear? Is it going to be dropping below that threshold enough to give her the right amount of turn meter? Is Kate going to be dropping below that threshold enough to be putting out the blinds? And more importantly, are the blinds going to go on the right characters, right? Yeah,
we're definitely going to see that in the footage. And I guess this will be a great time to say probably the most important T4 on this team, if you don't have it yet, is going to be the Squirrel Girl passive. It adds 20% to that speed bar. And I'll quickly check Kate to see if she's similar. Nope, she's fine. But you get an extra turn of offensive, so probably still valuable.
Yeah, but that you can see right there on the second line of her passive on death of Young Avenger ally or when a Young Ally drops below 50%. So a couple things are going to happen. Squirrel Girl is going to be getting turn meter when she drops below 50%. Any character, any Young Avengers. And then also with Kate's passive, they're going to be putting out that blind. And where that blind is going to go is going to matter. This is going to be a ping right here. But where it goes, I mean, if that ping goes to Greg, not so good, right?
Yeah, really bad because then you're not getting blind, you're not getting slow, but you are rewinding your own turn meter, which is very rough. So yeah, here, let's get back into game. And so yeah, this is a special ability, costs 1 more ability energy, like you said. That really affects Squirrel Girl. I think it'll be one that people use who min-max, but it's going to be very difficult to get through. And I actually did use this one.
Oh, you did? That seems like really rough, man. It just does.
Yeah. I think it's going to really simplify it if you don't use that one. When a player character uses their special, they gain ability block. This one with the Young Avengers isn't so bad because their basics are so powerful with that triple tap as well. And then you have Kate, who's stripping buffs, Squirrel Girl, who's giving an offense down. I think Echo's just damage. America Chavez is still giving defense down. So if you're forced to use your basic or possibly your ultimate, it's not the end of the world again for this team.
Can we talk about ISOs briefly? Because because the triple taps are pretty important, right?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's talk about ISOs. So I think the general consensus is a bunch of strikers and skirmisher.
Right.
We were talking earlier about a variation that I think would be. Why don't you lead us through that?
Well, I think there's two different ways. I mean, you could do this. You could do striker on everybody but Ms. Marvel and put skirmisher on her. And then the next option is to take striker off of Squirrel Girl because you're going to need some heal and sustain and putting her as healer. So I feel like, which one do you prefer on that? I don't know. I feel like right now I think I have all striker and 1 skirmisher, but I think the other way to do it would be to switch Squirrel Girl over to healer.
Yeah, so I think what you were talking about earlier is going to be very impactful about we're playing with a balanced account here, but if you have a 7 red Squirrel Girl, you may not need that extra healing. Maybe you can stick it. And if you're not going to use this weakened Scourge right here where it reduces healing, then I think you can stay with Striker. So it's going to depend on your Squirrel Girl, depend on how hard you're trying to push with this Scourge in particular. But for me and my Squirrel Girl, I do lean towards healing as my go-to. Especially because, as you're going to see, she's using her special like crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 3-turn cooldown, yeah.
Yeah. This Scourge, absolutely no issue. I don't even know how to say this word. Cyric? I don't know. When you block, you get stunned.
No, there's no chance that that's going to work right there at all because Squirrel Girl is going to be putting out deflects all over the place. Every time that anybody drops below 75% health, they apply 2 deflects. So you do not want that you don't want that at all. That's terrible.
Yeah, and like we're saying here, Young Avengers, if you watch the video we did on Mobile's channel, then you're going to know Young Avengers is going to be your go-to team for nodes 5 and 10. They are, like, hands down the best out of the 3 options. So you definitely don't want to have them stunned the entire match. So the rest of the event's pretty easy. I will say player characters use their ultimate. They gain blind. We spoke about this a bit earlier. A lot of the kits in Young Avengers, you don't necessarily need to lean on their ultimates. America Chavez ultimate, it's not the greatest. Getting defense down, you're going to get peels from Miss Marvel anyway on buffs. Miss Marvel's ultimate gives out energy, so if you're going to use those 3 other Scourges, then you probably don't want to use this one.
Nope.
And if Miss Marvel's blind, then you're losing your skirmisher attack. Yeah, which is a death sentence. So Squirrel Girl ultimate is kind of good because the offense down. Kate ultimate is pretty good because it's huge damage, and I believe it puts blind on the highest damage target or on a random target. And then Echo is just straight damage. So if you decide that you want to try and use this one, I also believe this will be a min-max kind of Scourge. You should do it in such a way that you're lined up that Squirrel Girl is using her special directly after everybody does their things to get rid of those blinds. You think that's a fair statement, or do you think this one is just too much to overcome and you shouldn't use it?
Well, I mean, here's the thing is, I hate to say this, but we're playing with, 4 red, 7 yellows, and because you're heavily depending on them dropping below 50%, right? I mean, everything is going to be dependent on them dropping below 50% and kind of like toggling above and above the 7%, healing back up and everything like that. It's kind of hard to say, right? Is what I'm getting at. It's kind of hard to say. We'll have to. I mean, it depends if you have 7 red stars or 5 red stars on all your characters, or if they're all G16, or we don't have a way of testing it. We don't even know. We have no idea, actually.
Yeah, it's going to be a very individualized experience for sure. This Scourge is actually kind of interesting, and we talked about this the other day. No one could use this Scourge in the last Morgan Le Fay event because of Web Warriors. You needed to put debuffs on the enemies. Like having them spawn with immunity was a no-go. It's possible someone's going to figure out how to use this, but to Kate's passive that Mobile was just talking about earlier, getting that random blind on people, this will make it not work on the spawn, right? Or when the second wave drops in, because when they spawn in, they get immunity. Do you think this one would be a deal breaker? It seems very difficult to me.
I mean, here's the thing. Kate's passive is what we're talking about. When she drops below 50%, she applies blind to a random character, right? It is super random, right? Especially when you got like 5 to 10, how many characters are on the field at any given time? You don't even know if you could go to Greg. And so I'm not really sure. And then that's just for the first round, right? So I'm not really sure. I feel like this is one where I believe like the top score person will use.
Yeah, I think that's a fair call. And then we'll see how that affects other nodes, but we're talking node 5 right now, so we'll stick with that. Player character reduce healing by 20%. We kind of touched on this. I did have this one on in the footage you're going to see. Squirrel Girl heals a lot on her special, right? It's a big heal. And it's enough that she can kind of overcome this because her health pool is gigantic. So like Mobile was talking about earlier, people who have 7 red stars on their Squirrel Girl, they're going to really enjoy her in this event. Let's say that.
Yeah. And this might be one where if you have you have a G16 7/7 Squirrel Girl, you might be able to get away with this one right here for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. When a player character uses their ultimate ability, all enemies gain 1 ability energy. This one's not very hard. I'm not sure why it's worth so many points, but what I found in the Scourges is that once you start controlling the node, you snowball the node and you just keep going. What was your experience with your run?
Well, here's the thing, specifically on node 5, you're not going to be using the ultimates that often anyways. I mean, you're getting a lot of value from the basics and the specials.
Yeah, especially when you're trying to avoid killing that Greg that we're going to see.
Yep.
Okay, I'm kind of getting towards the end here. Player character ultimate abilities cost 1 more ability energy. If you're going to use this one, you might as well use the blind one as well, because they kind of work together, right? You're not going to use your ultimate as much. You're not dealing with that blind as much. You're doubling up on points. So I think that one, and there's also the one where the special costs 1 more point and also gives you ability block. So I think if you're going to use one of those pairs, you should use the other one with it.
Absolutely.
Especially for this node. Where were we? Here we go. Oh, player characters take damage. They gain bleed. Well, you could speak to this. Node 5. How many times are you getting hit before you get a turn?
This is a real problem at the beginning because you've got all the just everybody's taking a turn before you get to go, and so there is a lot of bleed. But here's the thing: is that once enough characters drop below 50% health, then you're getting turn meter to Squirrel Girl, and then it's just a matter of timing it correctly because there's some key ones that you want to time it specifically with Taskmaster, right?
Yeah.
You got to make sure that Taskmaster takes a turn. You don't want to do her special before Taskmaster does. You'll play the footage because you actually delay it a turn, and you'll see. And then this is where it's going to depend on your stars, on whether or not you're actually toggling below that 50% threshold with the characters, right?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. Yeah. The handling these bleeds, working with how your Squirrel Girl is cleansing them before the damage actually goes through, is going to be a big factor for sure. So when you're bouncing.
I feel like this is a good one to have specifically when talking about Node 5.
Yeah, I agree. Enemies gain 40% health. We talked about this one. This one's worth a lot of points. I think, though, 40% max health makes the nodes possibly twice as difficult. Because if you're not getting the kills, you're not snowballing, it really affects things. 40% max health. Medbay, that's 2 medbays, right? That's a big deal.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one right there.
Yeah. Player character gains offense up or defense up, apply ability or heal block to them. This one, you might think this is no big deal because Squirrel Girl is going to cleanse it. But outside of war, Squirrel Girl cleanses after she does the heal. So if you're peppered with ability or heal block, then you're not going to get the heal on the other end after the cleanse, which is kind of problematic in this node.
I feel like this is fine for node 5, but this is going to mess up a lot of teams in other nodes, so you got to be careful of this one for sure.
Yeah. Particularly teams like Astonishing X-Men that Beast is giving out those buffs like crazy. Oh, this is a great one to talk about. When a player character health drops below 50% max health, apply trauma to them. How do you think applying trauma is going to affect Squirrel Girl?
This is one that you just absolutely cannot work. I mean, basically what we're trying to do with Young Avengers is have them toggle below 50% and then heal back up with the characters. That's the whole team is going below that 50% threshold, healing back up, going below the 50% now, so triggering Kate's passive with the blind, triggering Squirrel Girl's passive with the turn meter, and so on. There's other things on Squirrel Girl's passive too, the deflects, the death proof, so on and so on.
Yeah, and when you're getting blinds from Taskmaster, Hela can spread blinds, slows, all that kind of stuff. Even if Squirrel Girl heals them because they don't have heal block, they're still going to be covered in debuffs, get nothing done, and then you're going to get overwhelmed. I'm 100% with you. This is an absolute no-go.
I don't think the absolute, you can't use. This is one that just won't work. There's other ones here. It's wow, that sounds painful. Maybe you get lucky. I feel like that one there just automatically just would not work.
Yeah. On enemy turn, they gain offense up. You'll die on the opener if you use this one on difficulty 8, I think.
Yeah,
I think Doctor Strange will just blow you up. Okay, this one's very interesting because this is a brand new Scourge that we have not seen, and it's worth a lot of points. It makes other nodes more difficult, but with Squirrel Girl doing her balancing act where she cleanses everything, it's not that bad on this node. So I'll read it to you. It's a little bit of a novel. I'll give you the abridged version. Basically, When the enemies get a positive effect, it extends all their positive effects by 1, up to a maximum of 3. When you and your team get a negative effect, it extends that negative effect by 1 up to a maximum of 3 for all your negative effects. So as long as Squirrel Girl.
It's not as bad as it reads, because Squirrel Girl's going to clear all those negative effects away, and you're going to be killing the enemies off. So whether they have it for 1 turn or 3 turns doesn't matter for their positive effects. And whether you have it for 1 turn or 3 turns doesn't matter, because you're going to be cleansing it away. So it's for the value of the points. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. On spawn fill speed bar, all enemies by 100%.
Oh no.
No, I think other nodes I feel are very easy, and I can see how this would mess other nodes up, let alone node 5, which we're going to see in just a second. Yeah, exactly what you just said. No. Yeah, and then this last one, this is obviously just a shot at Dormammu, so it doesn't affect the Young Avengers node at all.
I think that one's bonus points that you have to pick up.
Yeah, 100% agree. All right, so without further ado, let's get into some footage. So here's node 5. This is not 1.7 million Scourges that you just saw. What you just saw is probably what my end goal is going to be, maybe give or take 1 or 2. But yeah, so let's go ahead and watch this footage.
That was, yeah, the Scourges that you laid up there was very, very aggressive, by the way. And yeah, I think there's a lot that you could pivot away from if people are having difficulty. And those Scourges are going to make the other 8 nodes a lot more challenging also. We're in agreement that node 5 is going to be the most important node of the entire event.
Yeah, I think node 5 is going to be the wall that people either crash into or they conquer that and they conquer the Scourge. So I paused it right here just so we can quickly look at what my ISO breakdown was for this. Like we were talking earlier, I did Skirmisher on Miss Marvel, Striker on Echo, America Chavez, and Kate Bishop, and then Healer on Squirrel Girl. And we're going to see how that plays into effect, because I did use the healing reduced on this run. Yep. And you're going to see it's still crazy healing. So, and then balance part. This is a 788k team, but I guess we should talk about this real quick. Kate and Echo are equal build to the other 3, and they are the predominant damage dealers, I think it's fair to say. But on the live server, they weren't as generous with their shards, right? Like, what are you sitting at for your Kate and your Echo?
I'm at, I will have enough to take Kate to 5, like 5-5, but okay. I'm sitting at 4-5 right now. So, I'm like, and then like in day 10 in the calendar, I'll have enough shards to take her to the next star level. So it's going to be kind of a mess.
Yeah, so the last day you're going to be able to give it a go.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, so with that out of the way, let's get into the footage. And this is, well, you're going to see off the bat what happens. It's pretty deadly.
Yeah, and my Echo is 5-5, so there you go.
There you go. So same as me, pretty much. So right away, you see we have 4 slows. That's obviously pretty rough. You see we've taken now 2 hits. There's a 3rd hit.
Okay. So what we're watching for now is we're wanting them to drop below 50%. That's what we're watching right now. I mean, we're talking about our own team, watching them drop below 50%, because when that happens, 2 things happen. Kate will be throwing out a blind, and Squirrel Girl will be getting turn meter.
So there's one right there. And we'll see where the blind... Oh, the blind was resisted by whoever she attacked.
Okay.
So here we go. Here's something that just happened that I should actually have paused on. And this was a mistake that I made. So, Kate got dropped low. We were talking about the balancing back and forth. You had mentioned Taskmaster. Because Kate was so low, I kind of panicked. I used the heal. And then Taskmaster comes in right after that. He uses his ultimate, and I'm peppered with blinds now, particularly on Miss Marvel, right? That's really bad.
Yeah, because then the Skirmisher Striker combo falls apart.
Yeah. And then Hela comes and then just spreads all a bunch of nasty stuff to me. Winds of Batum come in, but he was blinded, right? So Kate's passive in that regard was very beneficial to us. It stopped the defense up from being flipped.
Yeah, so the key thing that's happening when anybody drops into yellow 50% is Squirrel Girl's getting turn meter and Kate's throwing out a random blind.
Yeah. So if you remember the Morgan Le Fay event, that RNG moment where you were relying on dodges from your web warriors, this is kind of the equivalent wherever the passives are going to be landing.
Yeah, and you're going to want to avoid using ultimates. You're going to be using basics and specials.
Yeah, just because it's Greg. So I did kill that Greg, but I thought it was worth it to put the offense down. But as you see, my Miss Marvel had that blind on her since, well, the beginning, right? Because I whiffed my my Scourge special before Taskmaster did his thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a fine line with this toggling above and below 50%. I mean, that's what we're mainly watching is your team go above and below 50%. Oh, don't lose your Chavez. Oh.
And that's it. So that was one attempt. Of course, I want to show you some failures, and we're going to watch one more spectacular failure right now, which is kind of cool because if this happens right away, just back out. Just don't even try. And there it is right there. Squirrel gets ability blocked. This is where you sigh and you close out.
Yeah, ideally you want Greg to hit Echo also.
Yes, we didn't touch on that, but if you have the Scourge on where when an enemy dies, they give, or when any player dies, they give ability energy, and when an enemy dies, they gain defense up. Well, you want the Greg to hit your Echo so she does not retaliate and activate both of that energy and that defense up. Gives you a much easier time.
See right there, they all got defense up because of the Greg attacking Kate rather than Echo.
Yeah, and I think they each got one ability energy for it as well if I have it activated. So this is going to be the finish attempt, and you're going to see how just volatile it is. So Squirrel Girl did go before Taskmaster here as well, but because I learned, I actually held the special. So she's going to go again here soon. And there you go.
Yeah, this is a big deal, especially before Hela ults.
Yep.
Have everything.
Yep.
There's going to be situations where the blinds are landing right now. You're kind of in a not optimal situation right here with the blinds from Kate's passive landing on Yellow Jacket and Deathpool, but it turns out anyway. So talk about kill order.
So yeah, my kill order that I'm going to be recommending to people is going to be Strange Heartless, because if he reaches his ultimate, you're going to be in big trouble. And as soon as you kill him, you got to turn and you got to take out OG Strange. Otherwise, the ability energy that Dr. Strange OG has built up over this time, he's going to immediately bring back Heartless. And then Heartless is going to just really mess your day up.
I guess it's obvious to say they are not the same Doctor Strange. They're two different Doctor Stranges. They all look identical there. So you killed Heartless, and now we've got OG left up behind. There you go.
That's exactly right. So, and then you see Kate keeps pinging off the Gregs, which is pretty bad RNG. That's just turn me to rewind is all I'm giving myself there. Not the greatest move. So back to kill order, Heartless, OG, and then Hela. Now, because the Greg is just such a pain in your side. But as much as you want to start with Hela, you really can't let the Doctor Strange Heartless pop off. And if you do kill Hela and OG Strange goes, he might just res her back, and then you're going to have two Gregs to deal with instead of one.
Yeah, you were able to take most of your team from yellow into green right there with that Squirrel Girl heal. That's huge. Getting through Hela right now will be also a big deal.
Yep, and there you go. And I think that's a function of the ISO heal.
Okay, this is a critical part of the match where you want to drop them with low energy, right?
Yes, exactly.
You don't want to individually right here. You don't want to kill anybody. You want to drop them all into red, right? Is what you're trying to do right now.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to see I'm kind of beaten up on the yo-yo a little bit here, but then I'm going to let off because, and you can see this all on MSFGG. It's a great resource for everybody. You can see when new waves drop in, and I know that when this wave has less than 5 people, the next wave drops in, and that's going to have an Ebony Maw that I need to control, some Elsas, and a Sunfire who's going to do big damage.
So you're trying to take as many people into red as possible here, or yellow, before you're going to move away from probably yo-yo. I'm going to guess. Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
It was like trying to predict what you're going to do. Is like you're probably going to start because you're going to still get the pings randomly. So you got to make sure that you're taking out Deathpool, get her, and then you kind of because you want them all to fall at once the wave drops.
Yeah, exactly. And I definitely don't want to go into the next wave with a bunch of slows and offense downs and all that kind of stuff. So optimally what you want to do here is control the wave, get your Squirrel Girl to use her special so you have no debuffs, and then have some abilities ready to tackle the next wave dropping in. And then you see Kate is finally deciding to hit Yo-Yo with that passive, which is good because we have the blind on her, but we didn't want to kill her so quickly. So the only reason it hasn't dropped in right now is because we had preloaded speed bar. So you see, we didn't kill anybody else. Next wave is now here.
America Chavez is at more than 100% is what that was about, right?
Yeah.
Or at 100%.
At 100%, yeah. One thing we should quickly talk about is just Deathpool and how her ultimate works. Because when she gets to 5 charges, her next ultimate is just going to completely erase you. And when you're using some of the Scourges that we decided to put on here that we talked about, she's getting a lot of energy. She's almost using her ultimate at every single turn. So she can build that up and sneak it up on you pretty quickly. There'll be nothing worse than getting through the first wave cleanly, and then all of a sudden Death Pool comes and just takes your Squirrel Girl out. Because then you're going to have to reset. You need to end this node clean.
So let's talk about this real quick. Now, you node 10. So, is there an acceptable character to lose here? When is a run worth saving? When is it worth where you have to cancel out?
That is an amazing question. America Chavez. If you lose America Chavez, that's fine. You can keep going. Yeah, you remember that. Yeah. Miles Morales is probably the better fifth member over America Chavez for node 10, because that disrupt that he can do is going to be very crucial in controlling the tanks. There's a Sif right off the bat. You don't want her to start taunting. Otherwise, I think you want to make sure you have Echo special up, Squirrel Girl special or ultimate up, and Kate special up for the node 10 starter.
Yeah, so really Chavez is the only one that you could sacrifice right here.
Yeah, and you need Miss Marvel because of her assist mechanic.
Yeah, so there you go. Yay, node 5. There's going to be a lot more videos about this kind of stuff for sure.
Oh, yeah, I know you're probably going to do a full Scourge run as well, and I'm going to do a full breakdown of every single node. So just so you see right here, this was on a 1.61, so I did not have special gives ability block, alt gives blind. I took some of those off just to make it faster to get this footage. Yeah. All right, so that's what I got for you kids today. Thank you so much for coming and checking out this video with me and Mobile Gamer. If you liked the video, please like, share, and subscribe. And of course, go over to Mobile Gamer's channel, check out the video we did just talking about the Scourge as a whole. I thought it was a very interesting conversation and very beneficial to the player base. You got anything you'd like to leave us off with?
I think that's it. Let's go smash it.
Let's go smash it. Fist bump. Let's go. Go on. Do it. There you go.
I love ValleyFlyin.
Peace, Valley.